Welcome to my full live watch-along for King Kong 2005. Guys, if you haven't seen this movie, it's directed by Peter Jackson, and if you don't know how this works, if you haven't seen one of these from me before, well, I can't show you the entire image here on the side, but I will use my little tips and tricks to let you know where I'm at in the movie, so you can follow along with me with your own copy. It's out on Netflix, and if you have your own DVD or whatever, I'll give you time codes every now and then to let you know where I am within the movie. I'll let you hear the sounds. I'm allowed, to show you some audio, as long as it's not much of the soundtrack, because I got flagged for that for Invisible Man, but I cleaned that up. And if it gets chopped out later, if it gets muted, no big deal. But you will be able to watch along with you guys. King Kong 2005 is one of my like King Kong overall is one of my favorite stories about the big monster that gets found and is ruined by man's interaction. Sorry, forgive me. So it's a 3-hour movie. So I decided most people don't have the patience to sit there for the full 2 hours. So I'm going to split it up into 2 days. Today we're going to watch the first half, and then tomorrow we're going to watch the second half. And the thing about Peter Jackson's movie here is that, well, the first half is kind of boring for a lot of people. But as I got older, I found that I actually started to really like, and actually I prefer the stuff before, like all the stuff on the boat. That stuff is more appealing to me now. When I was younger, of course, I wanted to see Kong. I wanted to see him fight the dinosaurs, and I wanted to see all that stuff. And one of the criticisms about this film was that, well, it took too long for us to get there, to which I have to agree. It took us too long. And when we go through and watch this now, I'll point out the parts that I'll say, well, that could have been cut. That should have been cut. But Peter Jackson is notorious for shooting like 3 or 4 times the amount of footage that he actually needs to put together the film, because he likes to cut it in different ways. But we'll talk about that as we go through King Kong. And if you're watching us afterwards, time codes will be linked for you guys down in the description for your favorite parts. This is the halfway point. This is where he just picked up the girl. This is where we're going to pause for today. And unfortunately, that means that we're not going to see a lot of the big stuff, but we're going to see the setup. And I implore you to go out and check out your own copy of Peter Jackson's King Kong. And I'm just going to scroll over here and hit the play button. And I'm just going to make sure that we're all cropped in here properly. Okay. And I got to make sure that I got the audio set up properly. Okay, and we're rolling. Now, the movie opens up with this very classic kind of like theater screen opening for King Kong, and I can do a better job of centering my picture. And I hope you guys enjoy this too. I really like the cast for this movie, and I'll talk mostly through this because it's a full watch along and commentary, guys. But yeah, it was a weird thing. So it starts off with this song from the 1920s, I think, or 18 to 10s. Because they wanted to establish that this is a period piece. This is a throwback to like the first movie, that it's taking place around that same time frame. And the CG work here was good for 2005. I would definitely say so. Some throwbacks to some very classic imagery there. And we'll get our first introduction to Naomi Watts, right? Okay, yeah. There she's in the vaudeville play. Strong man. Okay, so there she is. And she does a great job in this. She really gives it her all. The big guy. Yeah, it's a weird thing how it happened. Like when I was young, all I cared about were the seeing King Kong, and I just wanted to see the monster. But as I grew older, I had more of an appreciation for the setup in all the movies, in all three versions. Even though the 1929 version, I think, is a little severely dated, which this movie does pay tribute to in this movie. Driscoll.
Theater.
Don't knock it, honey.
So they're just establishing here that the play company that they work for is that they're struggling to get people into the theater to watch their show, to buy tickets, which pays their bills.
Oh, I'm not hungry.
Naomi Watts, Peter Jackson does a really good job here of establishing her range to us. Because we see her go through a couple of emotions here, from being in the play to despair. The play gets canceled.
And it's no use.
Ooh, that's a bit too long. All right. So the old man that was running the show was saying that she should go out and try to find some more work. But see, look at her. She's giving range, and that's establishing her character. And what it's really doing is, I suppose, showing that she can adapt to almost any kind of situation, which she'll have to do later on in the film, dealing with a big, huge ape. So she's badgering the producer of somebody else's play. And you see that feeling of hurt. She looks down at the food.
You want my advice? Use what you got. You're not bad looking. Girl like you doesn't have to...
Yeah. And you know what that means for her. See, at least that guy's trying to help, at least. Even though going to burlesque or whatever, or even more. And she knows what it is, too. And this opening shot, this establishing shot for Jack Black, he's just kind of like... Because they're watching stock footage of him. He brought his footage to these producers that he's the filmmaker making a movie in this movie. And apparently, from what I understand, Jack Black wore a wig throughout the entirety of this movie. So this is a wig that he's got on. Because I guess he had a haircut that Peter Jackson didn't like. So they said, okay, we're going to put a wig on you every day. Our Glass Vikings in the live chat says Naomi may be method in her acting or has life experiences she taps into.
This romantic scenes with Bruce Baxter and Maureen McKenzie. Come on.
Okay, so see, Peter Jackson at least gets acting out of people.
I'll tell you why. The story has changed.
Like Peter Jackson picking him as in this role. I thought that was inspired casting. Jack Black, you never thought that he would be able to pull something like this off. Yes, he forgot all of his lines most of the time, but yeah, I liked that casting.
Ruins of an entire civilization. The most spectacular thing you've ever seen.
So he's saying that he got the map. He found this map towards Skull Island, and that's where he wants to shoot the picture.
Boobies?
What the?
You think they asked Emil if he would waste his time on nudie shots? No, they respected the filmmaker. They showed some class.
I like how he delivers that line. They showed some class. And Peter Jackson got that out of him, and that's cool, man. So he's realizing that the executives there are not going for it. And he's going to have to make a decision to either fold or run off and try to make the movie without them.
It's non-alcoholic.
And that's Colin Hanks, Tom Hanks' son. So he's listening in. So that the one producer saying that he doesn't like the fact that he's going to be going off and doing all of this stuff, and the porter goes out and finds that they've already bailed.
You pressured us into an early departure. It's not ethical. What are they gonna do?
It's not ethical. Like, oh, look at that shot. Like, that's a CG stage, and for 2005, that's very well done. Yeah, like visual effects wise.
I'm real good at crapping the crappers.
Red Label, 80% proof. That's holy crap. Does Red Label even make 80%? That's like Everclear. That'll burn your esophagus.
Damn it, Preston, all you had to do was look her in the eye and lie.
And Colin Hanks here does a good job in helping round out the rest of the cast. So they're saying that they've lost the actress and now they got to find somebody else, which sets him up to go out and find Naomi Watts.
Make Preston think like a winner. Call Jack. I need that goddamn screenplay.
I like that attitude. At least he's got the attitude to make it. But obviously he's breaking the law here, and that pans out later. So he's gone to this burlesque house where there's a bunch of girls pinned up here with... well, yeah, he's looking for a certain girl to fill out the role. And he sees a couple of them, and they're fuller figured girls. Nothing wrong with that. But then I like this. He just sees Naomi in the reflection. And that pause there. Great directing. Good cinematography. And again, with Naomi Watts, you just see that look of her hesitation in her eyes there. And she's like, no. She won't do it. So she's still, even in the face of the worst moments of her life, like she's got no job, probably nowhere to sleep either, no food. Like, that's desperate. That's despair. And then we see that she's going to take this apple.
Excuse me. Ma'am, I think you dropped this.
There's a nickel.
Vaudeville, huh? I worked vaudeville once. That is a tough audience. If you don't kill them fast, they kill you.
Yeah, and I like the delivery that Jack Black's doing with his lines. I watched the press release for in 2005, but it washed over me due to all the pomp and ceremony. Nice to revisit this for only the second time. Great setup of characters. I didn't catch Colin Hanks the first time, and that's happened to me too. Recently, it happened with Drive. I didn't realize that Oscar Isaac was in Drive with Ryan Gosling. So he just asked her about the dress size, and she's kind of like,
Producer.
I'm sorry,
I am on the level.
I'm someone you can trust, Anna. I'm a movie producer. So, guys, we're just 15 minutes into this. So he's just going to give her the pitch here. And the way that he's pitching this is just like telling her story.
Fateful meeting that changes everything.
Or if she believes in love.
Really?
If she loves someone, it's...
Yeah. So that's just so good. Like, just like that bit of dialogue, those two sold me.
You. You're perfect. Look at you. You're the saddest girl I've ever met.
You're wrong, Mr. Denham.
I make people laugh, that's what I do.
So he's got to find the right key, right?
Adventure, fame, the thrill of a lifetime, and a long sea voyage. You want to read a script? Jack Driscoll's turning in a draft as we speak.
And that's the name that got her, because we saw that she admired Driscoll's work because she was studying his work in the behind this backstage at the opening scene.
was always going to be you.
Listen to that music. Just the slight build up there of tension, of the tremble of the strings. See, we're 17 minutes into this movie, and if because you know that this is a King Kong movie, you're like, okay, we know, just get on the boat, just go there quickly. I want to see the monster. And it's like, if you look at it from the perspective of them going on this journey, and so far, like if you had no idea that this was a Kong movie about King Kong, so far, I would say that the premise has been fairly interesting, of them trying to make this movie. The director is under pressure. The cast looks good. Okay, so they're an Englehorn here, the guy who plays the director, or sorry, the captain.
We're waiting on the manifest. You haven't given me the first 1,000 yet.
He does a good job too.
Daryl.
So you are ready for this voyage, Miss Daryl?
And look at the look he gives to Colin Hanks here, to kind of yeah, it's kind of like, oh yeah, don't let him make her question the decision, right, to get on the boat.
Do I have a choice?
Will you take a check? And there's the, like, I like how Peter Jackson showed the feet stepping up the ramp there. Oh, and here's our introduction to Adrien Brody.
Don't open it
as Jack Driscoll.
Say I got depressed and committed suicide.
Oh, and there's the red label. So it's a script.
This is a script? Jack, this is... But I need a middle and an end. I gotta have something to shoot.
I like that.
Well, settle up. You gonna pay me? I'm not gonna stiff a friend. Need a volunteer cash before.
He's not. But it's kind of like you're rooting for Jack Black here. He's kind of like the underdog, and you want to see him make this movie. He's pulling out all the dirtiest tricks in the book to try to make this happen. Like, he saw that they were about to cast off, and Driscoll wanted off the boat. Of course, we know he ends up on the boat anyway, but still, I like how that played out. Our-Glass Vikings Live Chat says, the captain looks like the stand-up Ryan Stiles. I would have taken the 29th, whatever. Wait 4 days for it to come through. Okay, so you saw the back of the boat there? I missed it, but it said Surabaya. And that's something that's in, I think, all of the Kong movies that they're starting. If they don't start in Surabaya, the boat is named Surabaya. So that's our first look at Kyle Chandler as the male actor, and he does a good job too. No, the boat captain has a bit of an obscure last name, but he was also in Avengers Age of Ultron.
God damn it!
So he was going to jump, but then he realized it's better probably not to.
Love the theater.
I love our Glass Viking, Thomas Kretschmann. Beautiful shot. We get the familiar use of the soundtrack there. Can't play too much of the soundtrack because that's one of the big things that'll get you into trouble. So because all of the rooms are booked up in the place, now Jack has to go and live in one of the cages that they use to trap animals in.
What you want? You do your real good price on right wine. An enclosure to your taste. Spoiled for choice.
You know who he kind of reminds me of? If you ever seen Jaws 3, there's like a hot shot kind of submariner that comes in, who does a lot of So he opened up the door there, and we saw that there was the chloroform there, big bottles of chloroform. And that's just, that's foreshadowing. That's something that's going to be used later on in the film, like big bottles. But yeah, he looks like that guy in Jaws 3. I forgot his name too. So here's an introduction to Kyle Chandler's character, the movie star who always feels like he's full of himself. And Chandler does play it well too, and that's what I'm liking about this. Now, when they start actually shooting here on the boat, the lines that they use and the setup are actual lines from the 1929 version. So it's like they're filming the movie, the very first King Kong movie. That's Jamie Bell. Now, I've watched this movie multiple times. I own this movie on hard copy. So if there's any point of the story that I felt like could have been cut out from this, is between this guy. I like this guy, his story, but then they go off on this side story, this tangent. And this is where, hey, if they cut out this part of the story, it would have moved a lot quicker and would have maybe appeased the audiences out there that were saying that, yes, just get to the island already. Oh, yes, just show us Kong already. This part.
You got to straighten up. Jimmy.
Like, Jimmy Jimmy and this guy, this ship hand, he's like the first mate. They don't. They're not the main characters. They don't drive the story. So why are we spending this time here on the side learning about them? I understand that this book, In the Heart of Darkness, is supposed to be like a metaphor of what's happening to them. But we know that already. So what was that? That was like a minute and a half of footage.
I'm actually quite familiar with your work.
Okay, so she's just practicing her lines, practicing meeting Driscoll. Now, Naomi Watts is Australian, right? And she, at the time, had a very noticeable accent. So this is not her real accent. And this is there's a line coming up here where this is the only line where I can really notice that she was struggling to give that North American accent. She'll say literary type. And she really struggles with the literary. Like you can tell that she was trying to enunciate.
We'll have to do around here to get some breakfast, huh?
Whoops.
Oh, Anne, I don't believe you've met,
Oops, did I mess that up? I did mess that up. Sorry, guys.
I've read every...
Maybe Jackson uses the deck scenes as transition scenes. Maybe. Okay. So I'll let you hear the part where she struggles with the dialogue. So she's just coming in and meeting the crew, and this will be our first look at Andy Serkis as the cook.
Huh?
Lumpy, you heard the lady?
Lumpy.
Fancy my porridge and a walnuts.
And he just covered this guy's face with porridge because he's looking at her. Andy Serkis, good actor. Of course, we know that he was also doing the motion capture for Kong in this, because he did the motion capture for the Apes movies, Gollum. Okay, so she's thinking that this guy is Driscoll, and he's not. Okay, so watch her pronunciation.
Well, that's my job.
I'm sure you've heard this before. You don't look at all like your photograph.
Excuse me. Wait a minute, Anne.
So much younger in person. I was just afraid that you might be one of those self-obsessed literary types.
Yeah, see?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
You know,
She perhaps overpronounced literary, but that's the only time that I noticed an interaction in her enunciation. Like, if you didn't tell me that she had a strong Australian accent, I wouldn't have even known. And of course, Jamie Bell.
Christ.
He's like, good Christ. All of his posters have been mutilated. He's like, oh, well, maybe a Tash was suitable. Maybe the Jackson uses the deck scenes as transition scenes. Yeah, like this, like that's B-roll shot of the side of the ship. Like, that's a transition scene. Them talking about Heart of Darkness, I don't think I would really classify that. And then they have other arguments too, where they where they argue if he can go on the rescue team or not and stuff like that.
Sees what?
And this is where they reveal that they're going to the island.
On an island now? When did this happen?
And I like this choice here. We don't actually call it, like, see in the subtitles there, he says, but he whispered it and it was barely audible, right? So the reveal of the name is that we just see him type it out on the script, of his script, the name of the island, Skull Island. Okay, so
This is awfully exciting. I've never been on a ship before.
I've never been on one with a woman before.
and that's a line from the actual first movie, guys. So, like, I like how Jackson used those little nods.
Wonderful performance. You can relax for 10 minutes.
Blow now, huh?
That was
Pure effluence. So I like that. See what was happening there is that the writer's standing on the side there, and like there's so much going on here with this stuff. He's talking about the actor was ad-libbing some lines, and he's like, please don't do that, follow the script. And he responds by saying, what are you, a Bolshevik or something like that? Whatever that means. I think it refers to like a Russian or something. But making movies is a collaboration, making pictures. So, you know, sometimes an actor will try something different.
No?
But there's so many things going on here. And this is why I like the stuff before we get to the actual island, because there's some meta stuff going on there. Our Glass Viking says, the lead actor type reminds me of Seth MacFarlane. I can never remember his name, and he's in a lot of action films. This guy, Adrien Brody? Adrien Brody reminds you of Seth MacFarlane? He was in Predators. Or do you mean Kyle Chandler, the actor of the movie, within the movie? Like, even though that's a blue screen set, for 2005, it looked good. Remember, this is like Star Wars Revenge of the Sith era technology, so that's a green screen stage probably. Our Glass Viking says Kyle Chandler, yeah. But I like how his character comes around too in this movie. So Driscoll walks up behind the producer or the director to hand him that's a lingering shot. And they look at each other, and you can tell there that they like each other. And she gets distracted. She loses the scene. She kind of like loses her place. And Jack Black's reaction, once again, it's just like, It's just kind of like I like that shot too. Like the cast has good chemistry with each other.
Takes us way outside the shipping lanes.
I won't sail blind in these waters.
Simon McCorkindale was in Jaws 3. That's who this guy reminds me of, Simon McCorkindale. So they're just saying that he's sailing blind in these waters, going wherever the director, Jack there, Black, would tell him to go.
We turned southwest last night.
Gentlemen, please.
So the crew is just asking them where they're going, what's going on. And they're just pressing him about what their real mission is, and he's revealing it to him.
For 25 cents, you get to see the last blank space on the map.
So now they're talking about a previous ship that found this island. And they're just trying to spook them out, I suppose, to say maybe we shouldn't be looking for this place. But it's working on Colin Hanks there. Well, yeah, I watched Simon McCorkindale in Independence Day last night of all 30 seconds. Was he in that for 30 seconds?
A lion or a tiger? A man-eater. That's how all these stories start. What else?
Was he in Independence Day? What part was he in? Let me know in our glass. I'd like to know.
Monsters belong in B movies.
If you find this place...
And I like that line there. Monsters belong in B movies, which, hey, you're making a monster movie here. So as I said, there's some meta stuff going on here. It's very on the nose, and I like that. I appreciated that quite a bit. And unfortunately, Simon McCorkindale, he passed on at an early age, a young age. Was it a heart condition or something? You can see that, yeah, he's... But I would be more worried about them taking off without permission, without money to pay for all of this trip, more than I would be about finding an island that may have a monster on it. English camp receiving news of the counterattack. Oh, is that when he was in? So there's Jamie Bell and Naomi Watts dancing. So she's doing her part of the crew, entertaining the crew. And he's looking for the island. Oh, I need a timestamp. I haven't done a timestamp in a while here, guys. So we're sitting at 40 minutes. 40 minutes in, and we haven't gotten to the monster yet. I can understand if somebody was saying there, just show us the monster. We haven't even got to the island yet, and we're 40 minutes into this. But hopefully, you guys can understand why I'm enjoying this part of the movie. And now these two are realizing that they got feelings for each other.
Not to me.
And Adrien Brody was a good casting for this too. because you wouldn't naturally think of him as like the big leading man, but he plays off of Naomi fairly well. And I believe it's these two characters and their relationship has to sell it, because it's going alongside her relationship with Kong later on. And he goes in for the kiss. Yeah, it's their relationship and her relationship with Kong going side by side kind of thing. And I like that juxtaposition. And you'll see that is even in with the 1920s version and the 70s version, where Jeff Bridges is playing that role. So the captain just got the news over the wire that the director has a warrant out for his arrest, and they're going to turn around now. They're calling off the mission.
Hayes, why are we changing course?
There's a warrant out for your arrest.
Oh, no worries. Don't worry about that, Hourglass. So, Jack Black is making his last-ditch effort to say, please, let me finish the film.
Tell me what you want. I'll give you anything.
I want you off my ship.
Yeah. So it is sort of like two movies in one, right? You got this movie about the people that want to make this movie. And if it were just about this, if them turning back and now he's got to face the music, that in itself would make its own interesting movie. But as it happens,
Use the stars.
it's also about King Kong. Now, what is this? This is a sextet that he's got, right? Is that what it is? A sextet uses the stars to find out where you are? He's saying there are no stars. So Driscoll's looking at the map. And as he looks at the image, we are going to zoom in and look at what looks like a mouth roaring. Yeah, that's fairly ominous. Of course, the map blows away, so nobody else will be able to follow that particular map. It's an interesting shot of it. It's in the water there as the boat's falling away, going into the mist that surrounds the island. And I like how the 1970s version tries to explain why there's a mist around the island. Like, each installment does bring its own to it. Jessica Lange in the 1976 version. Whew. Now, this is like our first evidence that the captain perhaps is not as good of a captain as perhaps we think that he is. Because they're going into the mist, and he starts asking for depth readings and such. But when you listen to his directions, they actually go in like this. So he panics. Yeah.
Hi, Captain.
So this guy is going to use a rope with a weight just to measure how deep the water is, because they don't want to ground out, right? And Hayes says, you should stop the ship. So he's going left now. Right? So he said that they got seabed. So they were going in, now they're turning. And they turned into shallow waters. Now he's going back the other direction.
Another reading!
I would just go all stop. I don't understand why you would continue going forward. Like he's hoping to go around, but you just went like this, man. This is where you got to use that lookout on top, or at least reverse, right? Like you're just asking to get grounded in, and that shot. Like this wall, this has to be one of the scariest versions of the wall. Like how it pretty much wraps the island. Haunting imagery. Yeah, the floating map on ominous sign is an ominous sign, almost as if they won't be needing it, as they won't be returning back. Yeah, I think that's what he was going for. Brace. Come on, guys, brace. Brace for impact. Like, yeah, that. And you saw the look of like, oh crap, in the captain's eyes there. Oh no, Lumpy. Lumpy. So now that you know where the shore is, he backs up, and now you're going to try to get out of there. And I like the design of the island here. Because there's rocks on both sides of them. And they're big rocks. And I like how you can just see that little bit of moonlight come through. And there's one shot here that I really like. There's a shot of them hitting one of the rocks. Like, yeah, that shot. Because you can, it was CG, but it was really well done. Of them standing on top. At least I think it was CG. Yeah, what are you doing? You just gotta hope for the best kind of thing, right? Because you're going to get thrown up against the rocks, which they do there. And you see that there's faces on the rocks here. Like, see there's a face there? And that's creepy. And he sees it. They should have anchored off and take a small launch to shore. When they were further out, yes. Once I got that first seabed reading, that's when I would have been trying to do at least a 180, and then full stop anchor, right? Okay, so now they got a wide shot of the island, and you can see that there's that big wall there, and he gets validation here. So now it's damage control here. It's how badly are we messed up? So we see here that one of the lifeboats is gone, and indeed they're filming. They've taken a boat in. They're going to go to land.
I don't give a damn about God, then.
Even those smaller rocks have like faces of tigers or something on them. And I like that shot. And I think that was that's a throwback too to the original, because that was like in the concept art for the original, I think, of them walking down a cave like that. But anyway, we saw it here too, and beautiful. Okay, so we see a bunch of human skulls all lined up in this cave. So that's evidence of there's some kind of humanoid people on this island. And again, we're going back to this storyline of the deckhand and Hayes. Yeah. I understand what Peter Jackson was doing by using these two characters as a metaphor. Almost like a narrator of, hey, this is what's happening in the story. And it's just like Heart of Darkness. Like the poetry of it.
We are accustomed to look upon the shackled form of a conquered monster.
So the way that it's almost mapped out here is that like the first movie is just about them going to the island. The second movie is once they're on the island, it's all about the monster, and then them. Like in this version of Kong, the New York stuff feels a little bit squeezed in at the end. So now they're just exploring this village.
It's deserted. Use your eyes, Preston.
It's not deserted. I don't know about that. So we are sitting at 56 minutes and 56 minutes and 30 seconds. And we're going to take it right up to that halfway mark that we started at the show today, guys, which is just after she gets taken by Kong. And that'll be a good place to stop because I don't want to get into all of the big stuff, action stuff. So tomorrow's show will be much bigger when we see him fight with the T-Rexes and the New York stuff. But I like doing this because it just helps somewhere in history, like my nieces and nephews and my other family members, if they wanted to ever go back and watch and hear my thoughts about King Kong 2005, it's now out there in the ether. And thank you for joining. Thank you for listening and hearing what I had to say about this movie. So he offers chocolate to this youngster. So the deck guys are the external monologue of sorts. Yeah, that's the way that I felt like he was trying to use it. Because they talk about that book, Heart of Darkness, which was also the backbone for Apocalypse Now.
I want the chocolate.
So this is actually kind of brutal, much more brutal than some of the other stuff, because some of them get dispatched here in quite a brutal way. And now they look around and they see that it's just old people and women and children around. So that means that the warriors of this nation are out doing something. So look out when they come back. I wouldn't say harmless. And he just gets a spear. And that's our first sound that there's something on that island. But right now, you got other concerns. Now, Jackson uses a weird frame rate here to add to that oh no moment where things are like shaking around. I forget how they do this. They shoot it at a higher frame rate, I think, and then cut out certain amounts of those frames. Or is it they shoot it in 15 frames and speed it up so that it's like 30 frames? It's a weird effect. Oh, then we just saw that one guy just got hit over the head. Like that's a terrible thing to happen. If you're out exploring or something and you get taken by a tribe like this, there are places still on Earth where you can't go to a certain island because there are tribes that they don't want any interaction with humans. And even though we have guns and stuff, they can, if you get overpowered, if you get overmatched, then they'll do something like this to you, like hit you over the head with a mallet. And you just hear, like, that's not in real time, like, that's a slow motion sound of the gun going off. But at least the guns got them scared. Seen enough. Yeah, I would say that was pretty dangerous, man. Yeah, so this place doesn't have a high score on TripAdvisor. Our Glass Viking says in the live chat. Yeah, that's a good one.
Mike, he didn't get away. He's still there.
What about Mike?
Finish this film for Mike.
And then we get a pitch from Jack Black here saying,
And I'll donate the proceeds to his wife and kids. And he deserves nothing less.
good line delivery, though. So Anne's in her room, kind of freaked out. And we hear that woman speaking. Now, this is cool. This was a cool idea that, you know, at least the natives of the islands know how to get around on the rocks. They use like those pole vault kind of things with some rope. And the only thing that I guess they didn't really do a good job in explaining is that they were really obsessed with her because she had blonde hair, right? They just used the fact that in that scene that we just saw, it was just that old lady was walking towards her, and that was supposed to establish that they're really interested in her. The 1976 version does a little bit better of explaining their obsession with her and why they want to use her instead of one of their own as a sacrifice for Kong. This one just kind of hopes that you understand that already. And then we see that Jack finds one of their necklaces. Jumping rocks just like Kevin in Tremors. Yeah, exactly. But I like how logical it is, because you would know that they would know how to get around on those rocks for fishing purposes. So he went to her room and saw that the door was open as the ship pulls out. There's Lumpy. So they had to get rid of weight so that the ship would lift off the rocks. So they were throwing stuff off the side there. And we see that they're dragging her through the water. They dispatch some people on the ship to get her. Yeah, I see that now. In this version, they didn't do a really decent job of explaining why they wanted her in.
Take it in.
All right, there's the ritual. Okay, so that's an hour and 5 minutes. We've got about 25 minutes still. Really? 25 minutes? Before we take a break, and we'll pick it up tomorrow when the real action starts for the big monster fans out there. And out of all the ceremonies, I still think I prefer the reveals of Kong in the 1976 version. This one was okay. See, there's the old lady. She's again in her face saying their rituals or whatever they're doing. Oh yeah, there you go. Finally, get the armory. So Carl's wanting to shoot this as well. Of course, it's footage, man. You got to get. I like how he just picks up that bunk and it's like, are those Tommy guns? Yeah. Because I'm sure. Well, he's one thing. Why would they have that? Because they're on the water. It's a steamship, and they would have to fight off pirates, right? That's why you would have an armory like that. And this is where the 2005 version gets the benefit of using CG. Because that was cool. The shot of... Now, what would be causing that would be oil. But something that this version doesn't go into. But the 1970s version does. You can hear it. Like that's a beautiful shot. That's a stunning. And this version, yeah, like they do this, but why are they doing this? They're doing this just what, so they can appease the monster, that so that it doesn't attack them? Is that why they're doing it? We don't know why. Yeah, and yeah, we're definitely going to be watching the 70s version on Friday, guys, for sure. On this channel, we're going to be watching both versions of Kong. We can't watch the old one because I don't have a copy of it. But I like that version too. I like how when he chews people and takes them out of his mouth. So they lower her down across this valley moat to land down. And I'll give you guys the screenshot of the actual reveal when he comes up. Our Viking says, guns against pirates, or they're smugglers when they're not being chartered. When was Prohibition? That would have been in the 20s, right? No, it would have been in the 1900s, in the 10s as well. Okay, so let's get ready for the first reveal of Kong. And it's just the silhouette, right? That's the first shot. It's the silhouette. And he steps up. And they went for the version of him just being a big silverback. Is that what? In this? They didn't want to go for that version of like the fully upright animal. So they're firing, they're ruining their magic. Tainting their magic, I think Jack said in the 70s version. So he picks her up. I wonder if for her auditions, if she had to scream like that. Like, hey, one thing you're going to have to be doing in this movie is screaming a lot. Let's hear it. Oh, and I like that Carl here. He sees it. And we still don't, we see the eyes of him here. And he sees that, he turns around and he looks at Carl. He's looking at Carl there. And I like that, because they're going to have a relationship later on. Yeah, so he goes through the forest. Yeah, Kong was silverback. Yeah, Prohibition ran from the 20s to the 1933. The film was set in 1933. Okay. So he's gone. Yeah, this version, they wanted to try to go for that realistic angle instead of the full standing upright version. Now, out of all the Kongs, I still think that for some reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because of just the way that they envisioned that it would be. And they used the full upright version in Godzilla vs. Kong and in that Skull Island movie Kong. It's the full upright version they use. I find that version more scary than him just as a giant silverback gorilla. So they're just sending out the party.
Look at him. None of them knows to wait upon a gun.
So Jimmy wants to go with them, but he's going to go anyway.
You want to go to the 6-inch lens?
The wide angle will do just fine.
Imagine Val carrying around that big, huge camera. So the captain's just saying you got 24 hours to go out and find her because they don't want to stay there on that island. Would you? And we're getting our first kind of look at the jungle landscape here. Now, here's the one advantage of this. Aside from how dense the bush is here, Kong would leave a very obvious track to follow. It'd be very easy to track Kong. Of course, then you have the added dangers of what else is on this island. And I like these shots. This was interesting. I like how Peter Jackson was using like her perspective of her kind of like just being flailed around. That's something that this version does a very good job of. And there's our real first good look at him. She's like shaking her around. And it's creepy because in this spot, I think she looks down and sees other tributes of her. Yeah, she looks down and sees their other tribute necklaces. So this is where he would normally either bash them against the rock or just like kill them by them flailing around. And she took off the necklace and stabbed his fingers. So they're close. You can hear them calling in the background. Of course, she's gonna get picked up again. And now we're coming close to about halfway mark, and this is where we're going to end it for the today, guys. Because this one is told in it's not a traditional 3-act structure. Otherwise, that first act was really a long time. Now we got some slow motion shots of her just kind of like, yeah, because your body's being moved around as he's carrying you. Yeah, it's hard to say in 3 acts because the first act establishes the problem, which happened a long time ago.
Anne!
And we can just see the wreckage. Yeah, there's an obvious track. You know where to go. So there's Hayes and that guy again. Again, if you cut all that stuff out much faster. All right, that's the last I'll rag on that. I won't mention that again. Because it's not as if those two actors are doing a bad job. But here's our first hint that something's off about the island. Because look at the size of these mosquitoes. And I guess that's foreshadowing for a later scene to come. Now, the one thing that this version does a whole lot better is that they establish that there was some kind of other civilization on this island at one time that was grandiose, because this is like a waterway of some kind. And we see that there's large steps and stairways going up. So there was another civilization of giants of some kind living on this island. They don't hint at Hollow Earth here, I don't think. They just say that the island's got bigger things on it. We saw that with the mosquitoes just then. Oh, we can see that he's looking at the print in the ground. Bloody Nora. Yes.
One creature capable of leaving a footprint that size. The abominable snowman.
The abominable snowman. You'd wonder why the humans on the island aren't oversized also. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good point. How come the humans aren't as big? Okay, we're going to get the stampede scene in this. Okay, good. We're going to get at least one dinosaur scene in part 1 here. This also is a throwback to the first movie when the guy walks up and says, who are these?
What? You're the star of this picture. Get into character and head toward the animals.
Get into character. Yeah, when he says, what is this place? That's a line from the first movie. Yeah. Yeah, that's an homage to the first movie. (2005) That's not bad visual effects, but this movie does have its share of questionable visual effects, and we're about to see that now in this stampede chase, which I forgive this scene because I like the imagination of it. And the camera guy's kind of like, check the lighting. What's the ratios? It's like, nope. Time to haul, guys. Get out of there. You just hear rumbling going on in the background. The good thing about splitting this up into 2 parts, though, guys, is that I'll be able to show you more of the movie. If we went on and finished it today, I'd have to start cutting back on the amount I'm showing you. Splitting it up into 2 parts I know it sucks to pause now after this scene, but I like the shot of the reveal of him running with the camera. I'll see if I can get it. Bugger this. Okay, there's the cameraman. Yeah. Yeah. Like, this was a good idea to have. And they're stuck in this small little aqueduct kind of thing. He's saying, no, I'm not going to leave the camera. It's just, for 2005, this was a little bit beyond the scope of what visual effects was able to pull off. Because some of it looks good, some of it not so much. We're seeing, like, all of this stuff looks fantastic, but it's when it's the interactions with the humans. he kicks one of them. It's their version of a raptor, I think. It's or some kind of meat eater. Coming through. Yeah, that doesn't look all that great. But as I said, I'm forgiving of this scene because I like the imagination of it. They were trying to push it. And conceptually, it's a good idea too. It's just, back then, the lighting, to match all the lighting of that. Oh, there's, you didn't get to hear it, but that was the Wilhelm scream. The guy who got bumped, and yeah, that doesn't look very good. But the guy who got bumped and fell off had the Wilhelm scream. Like, that doesn't look that bad. No. No. And he's like, oh no. Oh crap. Because you know what you just did? You tripped the one in front and now everybody's going to fall over. And I like how the soundtrack is stopped. The score is stopped. And you just hear the thumping and you hear the weight of the monsters, of the dinosaurs falling over each other. Like, very interesting sound design. The entire Jurassic trilogy was made before King Kong, so you'd wonder about some of the parts of this film. Yeah, but the Jurassic Park stuff, when you think about it, you didn't see a lot of the interactions between them, like the CG stuff there. Like, we didn't see a lot of that stuff in the Jurassic Park movies. And we did, like the T-Rex scenes and stuff, where they actually did have a big, huge animatronic out on set for that. Oh no, the cameraman's going to get it. Herb! Not Herb. Oh, at least Herb's thinking about the tripod. Not Herb. Herb! Okay, so she's just getting let down. And this is going to bring us right to a nice point to stop it for today. Because before we get into how they start to interact, it's going to be a nice spot to leave it. And that's sitting at 1 hour and 27 minutes. Okay, so we're going to pause it there. When it comes out to that shot of, he just sets her down, knows that he's going to let her sleep, and he scratches himself here. And Andy Serkis was doing all of the work here. So we'll talk about that a lot more tomorrow when we watch the second half of this. It's just, if we were sitting here until like 5 o'clock to finish watching this, that's a long sitting, guys.
Four of us are dead.
Okay. I think we can finish this part. So they're just doing a damage assessment. Yeah, and then after this scene, we'll leave.
And I'll tell you something else.
I'm going to finish this film.
For the price of an admission ticket. God damn it, Preston, we're gonna finish this film for Herb.
Yeah.
We'll finish it. And donate the proceeds to his wife and kids.
And he knows he's full of it now. He's realizing that Carl's full of BS.
Look, fellas, Miss Darrow was a great gal, no question. And she was a wonderful person.
It's a terrible loss.
And we're all gonna miss her.
Like, Kyle Chandler does a great job in this movie.
Got bad teeth, a bald spot, and a beer gut.
So now the team is saying that they want to go back, and of course Jack is going to go on and talk. And I think that brings us to the halfway point. Yep, there we go. That's the halfway point. That's the halfway shot. And that's where we're going to pause for today, guys. I know. But as I said, it works out better for us to do it this way because I'll be able to show you more tomorrow when we actually get into the CG fights. And it's a long sitting here for like 3 hours. And I hope you enjoyed that first half because, as I said, it is become my favorite part of it. The build up and watching the chemistry of how this crew came together. And it does feel like that now. Like it's 2 separate movies, right? How would you split that into different acts, 3 acts? Like technically we would be in the middle of the second act by now, which is a long second act then. I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up and see how that's set up. I hope you guys enjoy this and join us tomorrow. I'm not going to go into a big long spiel tomorrow when we set this up. I'll leave a link in the comment section for tomorrow's show. That's already linked in for people who are subscribed to the channel for King Kong. And we'll talk about it a little bit more in detail after I finish watching it, my review, my thoughts of it. But you're getting most of that while I'm watching it, right? While we're watching it. You're getting my thoughts on it. And I gotta say, I like this movie quite a bit. 3 hours and 7 minutes. And this is when it really begins to pick up. This is when we get to the parts that everybody wants to see. Kong fighting the monster, the other dinosaurs. And then, of course, the tragic ending of him getting taken to New York. Which I can already feel that I'm going to have trouble watching because it's a tough watch. And that's one of the things why I like this movie, King Kong. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Join us tomorrow for part 2. I'll leave it linked in the comment section description where everything is. And if you don't know, we do a live movie news show daily on this show, 12 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about all the big movie news headline stuff. Hey, guys, this Mirror Domains, you're going to find something that you like here. Trailer reactions, movie reviews, movie news, full movie watch-alongs like you're just watching now. Everything movies. And as you can see, I have a passion for it. You have a passion for it. I hope you can subscribe and enjoy the channel. All right, I'll see you tomorrow for more King Kong Part 2.